Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss about determination of specific charge of an electron, that is Thomson's experiment. Thomson's experiment is considered as one of the remarkable experiments for the birth of modern physics. In 1887, J.J. Thomson made remarkable improvement in the study of gases in discharge tubes. In the presence of electric and magnetic fields, the cathode rays were deflected. By the variation of electric and magnetic fields, the specific charge per unit mass of cathode rays is measured. Let us discuss the arrangement of J.J. Thomson's experiment. The arrangement of J.J. Thomson's experiment is shown here. Highly evacuated discharge tube is used in this experiment. The cathode rays, that means electron beam produced at cathode, which is connected with the battery. The electron beam which are come out of the cathode are attracted by the anode, which is connected with the high voltage battery as shown here. The anode disc is provided with the pinhole in order to allow only narrow beam of cathode rays. These cathode rays are now allowed to pass through the parallel metal plates, which are maintained at a high voltage. Further, the gas discharge tube is kept in between pole pieces of magnets in order to provide the magnetic field. When the cathode rays strike the screen, its spot is observed. This is achieved by coating the screen with zinc sulfate. Here we are going to apply two fields. By this charged metal plates, we can apply the electric field. With the help of these two poles of magnet, we can apply the magnetic field. In the absence of two fields, the cathode rays can travel in the straight line and falls at the point O. In the presence of electric field, cathode rays deviated like this and falls at the point P like this. In the presence of magnetic field, cathode rays deviated like this. That will makes the spot at the point P dash. To understand these deviations, we have to understand the direction of force given by the electric field and magnetic field on the electrons. As we have discussed in the arrangement of experiment, there are two charged parallel plates to produce the electric field. At the top we have the positively charged plate, at the bottom we have negatively charged plate. Know the direction of electric field lines. They start at positive charge and ends at negative charge. So here electric field is created between the plates like this. So in between the plates there will be an electric field which acts downwards. To produce a magnetic field, this discharge tube is kept between the poles of the two magnets. Here we have the north pole, there we have the south pole. You have to understand like this. In front of the board I have kept the north pole. Behind the board I have kept the south pole. You know the direction of magnetic field lines. Magnetic field lines starts at north pole and ends at south pole. Likewise, magnetic field lines start at north pole and ends at south pole. So what is the direction of the magnetic field? Magnetic field acts into the board, inwards. Already we have discussed electric field acts downwards, magnetic field acts inwards. They both are perpendicular to each other. In that region, electron is going to enter. We know that electron is negatively charged particles. If the charged particles enter into the electric field or magnetic field, they will experience the force. Forget the magnetic field. If an electron enter into the electric field alone, it will experience the upward force. Due to that, it will deviate from its original path. That will fall on the point P. Why it is deviated like this? thus that will be attracted by the positively charged plate. So here electron will experience the upward force. Fe is the force given by the electric field. Now forget the electric field, there is a magnetic field. So inside the magnetic field, electron is going to enter. This time also it is going to experience the force, that is only known as magnetic Lorentz force. Now we have to find the direction of that magnetic force. For that we have to use the Fleming's left hand rule. Fleming's right hand rule is used to find the direction of current. Fleming's left hand rule is used to find the direction of the conductor, that means direction of the force. What is the statement of Fleming's left hand rule? 3 fingers of left hand must be mutually perpendicular to each other. 4 fingers want to show the direction of magnetic field, middle finger shows the direction of current, then thumb shows the direction of force. Here we have to find the direction of the magnetic force. So here north pole, the south pole, I have told already, magnetic field acts into the pole. So you have to show your 4 finger like this, into the pole. Here electron is moving towards right side, but we have learned conventional current is always opposite to the direction of the electrons. So current will go in this direction towards the left side, opposite to the electron. So this one to show the direction of current, so that is in an opposite direction. So what about the direction of thumb? Thumb shows downward direction. So here you can easily say direction of the magnetic force is downwards. Due to this magnetic force, the electron will deviate from its path and the will falls on the point P dash. If there are no fields, the stream of electrons move in a straight line and falls on the point O. Imagine there is no magnetic field, only electric field is applied in the discharge tube. We know that already electrons are ejected from the cathode and accelerated towards the anode. So electrons are going to enter into the electric field now. Then what will happen? We have studied in the first lesson, if the charged particle enter into the electric field means that will experience the force. So here this electron is going to enter into the electric field. If the force applied on the object means the direction of that object will be changed. So the electron will be attracted by the positively charged plate that will deviate from its path. Falls on the screen at the new position P. Now we are applying the magnetic field. Then what will happen to the stream of electrons? That the electrons will experience the another one force which is given by the magnetic field, because there are 2 fields now. One is electric field. Due to electric field that is deviated, now another one force which is given by the magnetic field is also included in this region. The magnetic field is adjusted such that the cathode rays, that means stream of electrons, strike at the original position O. Clearly you have to understand, if there is no electric field and the magnetic field means electrons travel in the straight line and strike the point O. Now there are 2 forces. We are adjusting the magnetic field and the electric field in order to make the electrons to fall on the position O. That means the 2 forces are balanced. Even 2 forces acting on the electrons, electron falls on the initial position itself. Now we have to write the expression for the 2 forces. What is the expression for the force experienced by the charge in the electric field? F vector is equal to EQ. Refer the first lesson. And what is the force experienced by the same charge in the magnetic field? We have learned about the magnetic Lorentz force. F vector is equal to BQB. From these 2 expressions we can write the force applied on the electron by 2 fields. First force given by the electric field, F, that is equal to E. Here Q is a general term. For electron, what is the charge of electron? E. Likewise, force given by the magnetic field. So B as it is, instead of Q we have to write E. We are moving with the velocity V. Now both the fields are adjust to make the electrons to move in a straight line. So already we have discussed the magnitude of electric force is balanced by the magnitude of force due to the magnetic field. So they both are equal now. EE is equal to BEV. Here which is a common thing, charge of electron is a common thing, that can be cancelled. So what is the value of B? B that is equal to E by B. Take this as a first equation. Here J.J. Thomson found the velocity of an electron. Here electric field and magnetic field we are going to apply. So by the known values we can find out the velocity of the electron. Now we are going to discuss the second part of the J.J. Thomson's experiment, that is determination of specific charge. Since cathode rays, that is electron beam, are accelerated from cathode to anode, the potential energy of electron beam at cathode is converted into kinetic energy of electron beam at the anode. Let capital B is the potential difference between the cathode and the anode. Then potential energy is given by EV. This potential energy is converted into kinetic energy of the electron. From the conservation of energy, potential energy given to the electron is converted into kinetic energy. What is the expression for kinetic energy? Of mv square. From this expression we can find the specific charge, that is charge per unit mass. For that you have to take this m to the left side. So E by m, charge per unit mass, that is equal to capital V. Potential difference can be taken to right side. So this can be written as V square by 2V. In the first equation we have write the expression for velocity of the electron, that is B, that is equal to E by B. So that value can be substituted here. So specific charge E by m, that is equal to, so instead of V square we can write E square by B square. Already in this expression the denominator 2V is there, so we can include that also. Substituting the values of E, B and the potential difference V, the specific charge can be determined. For the known values he found the specific charge value, which is equal to 1.7 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kilogram. In the next video we are going to discuss deflection of the charge only due to uniform electric field. Through that process we are going to find the specific charge. Thank you.